Cool. So, yep, it says live. There you go. Well, welcome everyone and happy Digital Learning Day 2018. I'm Karen Richardson. I'm the Executive Director of the Virginia Society for Technology and Education and am very excited as always to celebrate this event with our partners at the Virginia Department of Education. This morning we'll be talking with Mark Saunders, the Technology and Virtual Learning Coordinator, part of the newish STEM department at the Department of Education. At 1 p.m., we'll follow up with Bobby Keener, also from Department of Education. And then at 7:30 p.m. tonight, we'll be chatting live with our 2017 award winners, Josh Ajima, Nicole Thomas, and Tim Taylor. So that's our live work for today. In addition, we've been celebrating all month with videos on Flipgrid from students and teachers all over the state. Today has been especially exciting. Lots of great kids talking about digital learning online. So I'll make sure you follow our Twitter feed that we've been feeding that link out as well. The kids I know would love to hear from some of you. But for now, and I'm also happy to say that Tim Stommer is here. He sits quietly in the background and makes sure that the technology works. So we love Tim and he's celebrating with us today. So I am going to go ahead and turn it over to Mark Saunders to talk about some of the great things that are happening at the Department of Education. Mark, I'm going to mute and you can take it away.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Good morning, everyone, and happy Digital Learning Day to everyone. I just want to talk a little bit about some of the digital learning projects that we have going on here at the Department of Education, and specifically within the group that I am in charge of, technology, virtual learning, and computer science. It's a busy time. It's always busy here at the DOE, but the three areas that I oversee, there's enormous potential there, I think, for us to positively impact teaching and learning in the areas of instructional technology, virtual learning, and computer science. So I want to start off with what we're doing in instructional technology. As Karen mentioned, we are now under the STEM unit here at the Department of Education, and we were already part of the instruction division, but with this realignment, to me, it makes for an even tighter collaboration with those core content areas and the other instructional areas within the Department of Education. Right now we're working with our science people specifically. The science standards of learning were most recently updated, and they are in the process of developing curriculum frameworks. That's kind of the next steps here at the department. Once standards have been updated, standards of learning, the next step is the development of curriculum frameworks. And we are working with science. Kind of see this as a dual support cycle, in that technology plays the role of being able to enhance instruction. Technology.
Excuse me, Mark, I'm sorry. You need to advance the slides there so we can all see them.
Okay, can you?
We're still seeing the title slide.
Really?
Uh-oh.
Not moving?
No, afraid not. I guess something froze there.
Because I can stop sharing and try to reshare. Nothing's moving still?
No, I'm afraid not.
All right, let me stop sharing and then I'll start again.
Okay. Okay, we see your PowerPoint. Okay. And I think we lost your audio again. Yeah, Mark, can you hear me? Yeah, we lost your audio again. Okay, now we see the slides advance, but we still can't hear you. Okay. Karen, are you there?
I am here.
Can you hear Mark?
No.
Yeah, I can see the slides advancing now, but I can't hear him.
Right, and I can see the arrow, so we're live.
Yeah,
Now we know why television went to tape, huh?
I don't know. There's all sorts of things that could be wrong. Yeah, try logging out and calling back. Yeah,
sounds good, Mark.
We can always delete this first part.
Right. Oh, that's right. You can edit them, right?
We can edit this. Yeah.
Okay, good.
According to this, there are 3 people watching now. I think one of them is me. One of them might be you.
And no, one of them, I know who one is because she emailed about finding the link. Yeah.
Sorry about this, whoever is out there.
They're all tech people who are going, oh, thank goodness it's happening to them and not me.
Well, this is why you need a tech person at each location.
Right. We cannot hear you, Mark.
No, I'm afraid not. And he dropped out again. Okay.
So what are you doing for Digital Learning Day, Tim Stommer?
I'm writing several proposals for different conferences around the topic of digital photography.
Oh, good for you.
You know, it's something to do.
Yeah, right. I got back into Minecraft again. I go and come and go from Minecraft, but I've been playing. So
I should probably get into that a little more, but I haven't done much.
It's fun. I play by myself. No, Mark, we can't.
We don't see you or hear you, I'm afraid.
Yeah. So I play for a while and then I get bored and then I go back and create a new island. But there's lots of educational. So I want to write a blog entry because there's lots of, like, I learned all about trading.
Mark,
I made stuff, I traded it. Hey, Mark.
Can you hear me?
We hear
you.
Okay.
So, Mark, let's just do this. Instead of sharing your slides, do you just want to, like, talk through it? And then we can add the slides as a link in a blog entry?
Yep, I can do that.
Let's do that.
Because you can't, because even if I don't want to take the chance, because I think one time you could see the application with all of the slides. Is that right? Just not
yes.
But we could also see, like, the notes and it wasn't like watching a PowerPoint presentation.
Right. Okay. Well, I can just talk through it. I've got it here on my laptop as well. So let's do that.
Okay, good. So perfect. Let's go for it.
Although my graphic, I really wanted, but if anyone is still out there listening, that graphic that I had up there, it was a cycle. The way we see this, it is almost like putting lotion or smoothing, holding the hand that feeds you. It's like technology has the capability of enhancing the instruction. So technology, with the skills that students are developing and the knowledge that they have related to technology, that contributes to them in, for example, science, the science content, biology, for example. That technology, those skills and that knowledge that they have can be there.
We lost you for a minute.
Oh, wow. The audio.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can still see me on camera now?
Yeah, we can hear you too.
So for a moment there, you just saw me motioning, but you couldn't hear anything.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
We're good.
Well, I guess to make a long story short, what we're trying to do is realize the potential of technology, the role that technology plays in supporting instruction, the content areas, and students developing those essential skills and knowledge. And then we're also trying to realize the potential that the content areas have in being used as a delivery mechanism in which students can increase and obtain those technology skills. So we've got two efforts going on. Meg Foley and Jean Weller are working with our science people right now on how to add some information within the science curriculum framework on how technology, these technology connections that are possible, and we'll just use science as the example, how you can use these different technologies, these tools, these resources in science instruction. And this is a tool to help the teachers as well as the students. And on the flip side of that, Tim Ellis, our computer science, and can you hear me okay?
Sure.
Okay, our computer science and virtual learning specialist is developing a curriculum framework based on the computer science standards. So I want to talk first about what Meg and Jean are doing with that, the curriculum framework related to science. It's going to be a dynamic framework, meaning currently on the DOE page, when you go there on the Standards of Learning webpage, you will see all of the standards there. You'll see a Word document, a PDF document. Beside that, in the next column, you will see Word and PDF documents of curriculum frameworks. They're static documents. It's there and that's it. What we're going to do now is create dynamic frameworks, meaning they will be web pages that will continually be updating with new resources, with new information. So from time to time, there will be new resources on their technology resources that a teacher can look at and consider using in teaching biology, for example. So that's what Meg and Jean are working with our science coordinator on. And we're the T in STEM, but we're not confined to just STEM alone. We're developing this model, and we're starting with science as our prototype, and then we're going to replicate it as appropriate with the other content areas as well, and going outside of math and engineering to history and social science, English, and so forth. Next, so that's kind of what we're doing in instructional technology. With virtual learning, we have our two programs, the main programs, which are Virtual Virginia and the multi-division online providers. With Virtual Virginia, we've got 5 different components to that. We've got the supplemental programs, which is the historical part of Virtual Virginia. It's how it started back in the 80s. We've got the supplemental that supplements or provides courses that school divisions may not be able to offer on their own. We've got the full-time program, in which at the high school level, a student can start as a freshman, and all of the courses they would need to earn a diploma are offered within Virtual Virginia. The third one is our math outreach program. Fourth is our blended learning resources, and the fifth being summer school. So I want to talk about those last 3. With the math outreach program, we are increasing the offerings in that area. We started off just offering algebra. We've expanded it to algebra 2, geometry, and biology, and there's a 5th one that fails me right now, but it's fully a math science outreach. And these are asynchronous lessons available for download by any teacher in the Commonwealth. The information, the link and all is on the Virtual Virginia website to submit your name. That these are asynchronous lessons. So we've got the math and science outreach, and that's going to expand beyond math and science. Asynchronous lessons, downloadable. Next, we have the blended learning resources. And again, if anyone's out there listening, or for those that's listening to this later, think about the economics and personal finance course that is currently in Virtual Virginia. The way that course is now offered is in three ways. A teacher can sign up through Virtual Virginia to use the Virtual Virginia Learning Management System to teach that course to their students at their local school. A school can also enroll their students directly into the Virtual Virginia course itself, and that is taught by Virtual Virginia teachers. So there you get two options: the Virtual Virginia teacher teaching it within the Virtual Virginia Learning Management System, or the local teacher using the Virtual Virginia Learning Management System to teach that course. The third way is that we offer that course as a fully packaged course that a school division can download to their local learning management system. What we're going to do, we're going to replicate that model, and we're going to start creating more additional courses that will be available to teachers that way. But we're going to go a step further. Instead of just offering it as a full courses package, we're going to unpack those courses and offer them as individual modules as well. Karen, this kind of goes almost down to the object level, which, you know, when you get into the OER, you talk about downloadable objects. This is just above that, in that these are individual course modules that if a teacher in a blended learning strategy in their local school, if it's just one part of biology that they want to have a student go online and go through, that student doesn't have to go through the entire course. They can go to a specific module on biology. That's with the blended learning. And then, of course, summer school. Summer school registration starts April 1st. The summer school year itself began, let me get the date here, June 18th, and runs through July 27th. Again, all of this information is on the Virtual Virginia website. The links are there to submit your name, to register, and all of that. And every time I think, well, everybody knows about Virtual Virginia. Why do I need to keep talking about Virtual Virginia? Every time I think that I get in a meeting somewhere and we find out where there are people out there that still do not know about Virtual Virginia, and that's because, you know, the people come and go in school divisions. You get new guidance counselors in, new at school administrators, principals, assistant principals who aren't familiar with the program. And so we continue to talk about it, and we're continuing to grow it. We're really excited about those blended modules. These are going to be freely downloadable course modules that will be available to teachers. This is, Bobby's going to be talking about OER later. This is kind of going down that road of creating these individual objects, although we're not going to that depth, but it's giving school divisions and teachers these resources that they can use, that they can customize as they seek to customize and personalize their instruction. The next thing, the multi-division online providers, we've just completed our application period in terms of receiving applications. We did receive 2 new applications for 2 companies to become multi-division online providers, in addition to new and revised courses from our existing MOPS, as we call them. So we're in the process of going through that review, looking at those courses, looking at the applicants and all, and that information. We anticipate having that ready by April, early May at the latest. The last area is computer science. As I mentioned somewhat earlier when I was talking about that cycle, the other side of that cycle is where the different content areas are used to teach for students to develop those skills and acquire that knowledge. We call it the integration of technology into the content areas, and that's what we are doing. That's our strategy with computer science. Even though, much like the computer technology standards, there are defined standards for computer science. That subject or that area of knowledge, that body of knowledge, is not going to be or should not be delivered in an isolated fashion, say with a core content area. The idea is that it will be integrated into existing areas of instruction. Obviously, at the elementary school level, I used to be a kindergarten and a second grade teacher, so I was the teacher of math, science, history, everything. And so at the elementary level, we're going to provide, through the framework, resources that elementary school teacher could use in teaching the different content areas. At the middle and high school level, I'll talk first at the middle school level, there will be a dual option there. We have standards that allow for elective courses to be created, but we also have standards that can be used to be integrated into the content, into the different content areas. And then at the high school level, we have specific standards that are geared more toward specific courses. And Tim is working on frameworks that will provide these resources to help teachers integrate computer science into core content areas, and as appropriate at the high school level, actually have school divisions create local courses that are based on those standards. We are going through, and this is a five-step process, or a better way of looking at it. We have 5 goals when it comes to computer science. The first goal we've already accomplished, which was the creation of the standards. The next step is to provide training resources for teachers and to increase that supply of teachers eligible and qualified to teach computer science. So the curriculum frameworks, that's one step in the area of providing resources, but we also currently have online courses being offered by the Oracle Education Foundation. Those began in January. We're now in February. Teachers are probably, those that are enrolled are probably 2/3 of their way through those Oracle computer science courses. We are also going to be working with Northern Virginia Community College on providing some additional training. Many of you know we also work with Code VA, Rebecca and Chris Dovey as well. We'll continue working with them. And the next step is, or another phase, is also reaching out to other organizations. So one of our other goals is establishing these connections with these external organizations. We envision having a statewide computer science task force to make sure that we have all those interested parties together to contribute. So that's 3 of the goals: the standards, the training, the external partnerships. Another goal is to create these career pathways for students so that they know what the potential that's out there in terms of the different careers in computer science or related to computer science. And then the learning opportunities, what learning opportunities exist for students in terms of credentials, internships, externships. That's also part of the work that we have planned for computer science. So we're keeping Tim quite busy between computer science and virtual learning. He's a busy person. I provide assistance with virtual learning because I've dealt with that longer, but he's doing a wonderful job as well with that. So really between Meg and Jean with the instructional technology, Tim with the computer science and virtual learning, and my assistants helping all of them, we've got quite a bit going on. I'll say I'm excited. I'm always excited just because of the potential. I'm excited, but I'm frustrated in some ways because there's more. I want to get it done. I want to. We implemented some of this stuff. For example, Karen, the Leading Ed event that we have each year. You and I, we've talked about this computer science summit and the role that VSTE and Code VA will play in that. So you're aware of a lot of that work that we're interested in with computer science. So I'm sort of excited and anxious just to get a lot of that going.
I agree. I was going to ask you, if you had to identify, although maybe that makes the other programs not look as important, it is computer science. That's really the push right now.
Well, it is, but it is the push because the standards are there, and it's the newest in terms of our three initiatives or our three areas. It is the newest, and it is the one that we're in the earliest phase of implementation with the standards and then the framework. And it's got those defined components, so it's the earliest. But instructional technology, that's always had its potential and will continue. We want to expand it. We really want to help to realize in a greater detail the potential that it has, and then virtual learning. So they all are interconnected, because at the heart of all of it is the technology. And Tim would say, well, the computer science enables the technology. So,
right. But go ahead, Tim Stommer.
I just have a question on the topic of the computer science. Since the standards are not to be tested in the same way that other subjects are, how can you speak a little bit to how we're going to assess whether or not the standards meet their goals and students actually benefit from the instruction?
Yeah. We're going to assess those standards a lot of the ways that we want teachers to assess the other standards. There are other content areas in which there is not an SOL test, and our belief, and when you look at the work that the board has done in terms of the profile of a Virginia graduate, the focus is on other ways of assessing students' learning and these opportunities for them to demonstrate that learning. So we're working a lot here on performance assessments. So to answer your question, our focus will be on in what ways through performance, through project-based learning, through performance assessment. What are some ways that students can demonstrate their knowledge and their skills related to computer science? And to me, very much like technology, computer science lends itself to what can you do. It's not about memorizing the terminology. It's not about knowing the different programs and remembering the syntax. It's through application of that knowledge. It's through taking what you know and then applying it, using it, demonstrating that knowledge and taking it to that next level of Bloom's taxonomy, beyond the knowledge and comprehension to the application and the analysis, the synthesis. Creating, what can you create with what you know? How can you take what you know in one area of computer science and mix it with the other knowledge that you have? And you tell me, if you know computer science, that's kind of what you do when you look at Java programming and you've got methods and classes. It's about picking the right parts from within that Java library, for example, and using the right methods. And so that's kind of how it is with learning, really. When you got all of this knowledge and you're developing these skills, at a higher order of thinking, how do you take all of those different components, those different learning components, you could say, that you have as knowledge? How do you take that and the skills with it, and how do you create? How do you collaborate? Where's your creativity? How do you collaborate? How are you critically thinking about how taking all of those knowledge and skills and solving real world problems?
Well, and I certainly agree that the assessment is going to come from demonstrating the understanding rather than any test or something like that. But I'm just a little bit concerned that some of these standards are going to get lost at the elementary level because there won't be that emphasis on the spring test coming up, and it may get a little bit lost in the shuffle of everything else.
Yeah,
but thank you for that.
Because it doesn't have that. I guess it doesn't have the looming test at the end of grade 3 or 5 to kind of serve as the impetus for that, I guess.
It's also a very unfamiliar topic for a lot of elementary teachers too. Right. So the training that will be provided is going to help a lot in that, and that the computer science summer. Your point is good. Especially at that elementary level, teachers need to be comfortable
they don't necessarily have to know all of the content. I mean, when we were, with technology back in the 90s, teachers didn't have to know everything about how to use the technology, and that's the case now. The students know that the teachers need to be able to facilitate that, but they do need to be familiar enough with the content to know, what it is they're facilitating. And at a minimum, the training that we are going to be providing and partnering with other organizations is going to help a lot with that.
And I think this is Karen, I'll just hop in here real quick. So one of the things we're actually doing at the Brainstorm event in Harrisonburg on April 13th is having an ITRT and his son present, who I happen to see him on Twitter saying, yeah, here's my son, I think he's 12 or 13, doing a session on Bloxels, the new programming tools that are out there for the teachers in my school. And I said, well, why doesn't he come and do it for us at Brainstorm too? And then we started sort of looking out for other kids, because I think it helps them do more than just be able to apply skills. Now they have to teach other people, which is always a great way of giving you those kinds of softer skills as well. And VSTE at least has quite a, we've been around for 33, 34 years. We have several examples of parents who used to bring their kids to the conference, and now those kids are ITRTs and they're thinking about bringing their kids to the conferences. So I think it's a matter of trusting your kids that they'll do the right thing and teach well. But the other piece I wanted to throw in was we have to be a little careful assuming every kid in our classroom has that same level of technology skill though too, because that's where the digital divide still exists, I think.
And we have a related question in the chat from Stephanie Clayton, asking about how we keep elementary accountable for the standards. And she references Longwood's ITTIP, which I'm not entirely familiar with, but
is she referring to the ITTR there, the position?
Well, Longwood has a program called ITTIP, which I'm not sure what the letters stand for, but I have heard of. So
Paula's program, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Paula Leach.
Right. And but Stephanie's just asking about how we keep the elementary programs accountable for their teaching of the computer science standards.
Yeah, well,
right, because there's no test, right?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. The test. I'm hoping a test is not what's needed to hold teachers accountable. I guess you wonder, well, how do we know that the students are learning? How do we know it's doing what it's supposed to? And I mean, that's what teaching and assessing is about. I mean, that's where the important role of the teacher comes in to kind of, they know what the standards are, and like with computational thinking, as a teacher, where do you see that skill of computational thinking? Where do you see your students using that in math and these other areas? That's that daily, weekly assessment that as a teacher, you're going to.
Well, and I think especially with the content areas, like Google has a great free computational thinking for content area teachers course out there. I've shared the link a bunch of times, where it says, so you're teaching poetry. How, even though you don't think about it as computational thinking, when you break a poem apart into pieces and then put it back together with a new understanding, that's computational thinking. You're breaking things down, you're kind of reassembling them. And so teachers may be already doing it, they just haven't called it that as well. So they need time to sort of assimilate a word like algorithm, how that fits into particularly the humanities. I think math and science may be a little easier because we think about comp sci as a STEM kind of thing. But when you get into a history class or a language arts class, how are you already doing that? And how can you do it better?
Yeah, I'm just kind of, I would like to believe that a test a standardized test, you know, is not the only way.
I am not here advocating for adding a test, Mark.
No, me neither.
Yeah, right. I'm just saying, though, that's so often the way that we think about accountability. Are there ways of?
Well, and Stephanie makes the point in the chat that some of this is going to come from the professional development, because they're going to have to see how this is not separate. It is part of the overall learning process.
Absolutely, so. Definitely. That is.
We don't want to go through that swing that we kind of went through when the first technology standards for kids went in, where, you know, you kind of had a technology teacher in a computer lab who taught those skills. I don't think that's the nature of the computer science standards, particularly at elementary. So we don't want to sort of go through that, where now we're hiring computational thinking teachers or trying to put it into, it really is meant to be in every classroom, even if, you know, you're not particularly saying, now today, children, we're learning computational thinking. It's just sort of part of the package of how we help kids learn how to think in a more meta way about stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that knowledge is going to be more relevant when it's applied in these different content areas and solving and working on these projects, or when you're, you know, demonstrating that learning. It's going to be more relevant in that way. But she's right, though. The training is going to us to hear from them as well in terms of what the needs are. And like I said, the work that we're doing with Code VA and others, you know, this is no small challenge, but I feel like the growth, the progress we've made with computer technology, I think it'll be comparable with computer science. I think we can learn from computer technology, like you were saying, Karen. We can learn from computer technology that you don't want to separate it, but you do want to integrate it. You know, we can take that as a learning experience. So we're already a step ahead already.
And it might be the great place. I know Bobby's going to talk about open education resources this afternoon, but, you know, with sort of getting OER out there in the world, this might be a great place to start in developing open education resources, and then couple those two ideas as teachers have a repository of things they can draw from related to it. They know that teachers across the state are doing this. And I think that's a really valuable contribution that the Department of Education makes, because you get above the fray of, you know, every little school doing their own thing and kind of be the central location for some of these things as well. So I think it is an exciting time to be part of all this as we move forward. So
I'm hoping 10 years from now we'll look back and say, wow, you know, I'm hoping we'll hear high school teachers saying, wow, we are able to really, and at the college level, professors saying, we're really able to go into this level of depth, because 10 years ago, we couldn't do this.
Well, and coupling that too with, you know, digital citizenship, just generally helping kids become better critical thinkers about things. You know, if you could take that critical mindset and then start applying it, you know, maybe social media will get better, and our ability to ferret out real things. And, you know, I do wonder, I'm not sure where you're going to be in 10 years. I'm hoping to be sitting somewhere with internet access with my feet up, but it'll be interesting to see how it all goes, Mark. So anyway, I hope I have 10 more years, right, of looking back. We'll still have this video to go back and look at too, right, to see if our predictions have come true. So Tim Stommer, were there any other comments in the chat that you wish to share with us?
No, Stephanie has stuck with us the whole time, and thank you to her for that.
She and I have been emailing back and forth about the links at the VSTE.org page. I don't know what it is about YouTube Live events, but once you create one, it seems like subsequent ones then default to the old one. Anyway, so for folks who are watching, yay, Stephanie, keep an eye on Twitter, the Twitter feed, for updated links in case we run into trouble with the live links that are posted on the VSTE.
And I'm hoping that we can get some discussions around using these standards in the elementary level at the conference in the fall. in December, because by that time we'll have a better idea of how they're moving into place, and we can have some discussions with some elementary teachers around how they think they would be best implemented. So,
yes, I love that idea. Mark, anything else for us here?
No, I think that's about it. You know, this afternoon with Bobby, OER, that's exciting as well, what we're doing with that.
It is. So please go ahead, Mark, and send me the slides. So I'll put the link to the archive up, and I'll add the slides to it so folks can look, because I know you always have good images of what this all looks like as well, which can be helpful.
Okay,
so
will do.
Thanks very much, Mark. We'll be in touch because there is a lot going on. Thanks, Tim Stallmer, as always, for your support. We'll be back here for folks who are watching at 1 o'clock for Bobby Keener. I believe the link at VSTE.org is currently working, but I will tweet it out at when we're getting started as well for folks who.
And you can always go to the VSTE YouTube channel, and it will be available there.
Yes, you're right. We'll be streaming live from there too. Good job. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
See you in a bit.
Okay, we are off the air.